Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy Tactics. Dead Space. Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 3. Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil. Demon Souls. The Last of Us. Starring Pedro Pascal. Spider-Man. What do all these games have in common? Whether it be a remake or a remaster, all of these games have been brought back from the dead to squeeze a little bit more money out of a beloved IP instead of, making a new game. I could go on and on about how lifeless,
You owe me a pizza.
soulless, and unashamed these cash grabs are, but instead today I want to talk about a phenomena that I've witnessed in the past few years. And that phenomena is, why does everyone need to look like a supermodel? Now, you may be asking yourself, why does this matter? Why should we care if every character that's been rehashed looks like they should be on an episode of America's Next Top Model? Well, I'm glad you asked. And to help answer your question, I'm going to reference the 2004 Disney Pixar movie, The Incredibles. Specifically, the villain, Syndrome, said, paraphrasing here, if everyone got them superpowers, then nobody's got them superpowers. To put this sentiment another way, if everyone you see is hot, that hotness, that attractiveness kind of loses its luster. Now let's look at some examples. Going back to the PS4 Spider-Man, we can see that he's pretty nerdy looking, he still looks pretty good, pretty athletic, but he's Peter Parker. I mean, he's supposed to be Spider-Man, so that makes sense, right? Well, let's see what they did, moving him to the PS5 just a couple years later. He got no wrinkles. He got no wrinkles. Did he go to a spa? Did he do a regimen for getting rid of them crow's feet? What are we doing here? Why does he look like a supermodel? It literally looks like they took a clothes iron to my man's face. Okay, that's a bit weird, but that's really not that egregious. Maybe they got a new actor and they scanned his face in and whatnot. It's a little weird that they would go through that extra effort for a game that came out just a couple years prior, but it is what it is. Let's look at another example. Let's look at Dead Space 1. It's pretty blocky, but it was a PS3 game. That's what we expect. Let's look at Dead Space 2.
Huh?
They already changed the character model. At least in Dead Space 3, he looks the same as he did in Dead Space 2, right? Well, let's look at Dead Space Remake. Why did they do it again? What are they doing? This just seems like extra effort. Why are you doing this? I think the most egregious thing with these Dead Space ones is, at least for the first 3 Dead Space games, Isaac has facial hair everywhere. Like, of course, he's running around in space trying to survive space zombies, so of course he doesn't have time to shave. But in the Dead Space remake, when did he have the time? When did my guy have the time to shave? Was it when those zombies were killing his friends? Did he take a moment to go to the bathroom and throw on some shaving cream? Listen to Celine Dion? His heart will go on. Dear, please don't copyright my thing. I don't know what's going on here. Why is he hot? Alright, again, they probably have a reason for doing this. More often than not, these studios will find a new actor, and it's a lot easier to just scan the person's face in than to just do the 3D model again from scratch. Again, it's a little bit weird, especially since he already had a character redesign from Dead Space 1 to Dead Space 2, but these examples so far, although a bit weird, they can be a little bit justifiable, right? But there is one example that I found so egregious that it sparked this entire video. A glow-up so egregious that it even runs counter to the original character design and the original character description. And that character is Cid Highwind from Final Fantasy VII. Now, before I get into actually showing you the picture of the new Cid, I'm first going to read the description in the original PlayStation 1 game manual. And I quote, Cid is a tough-talking, warm-hearted, old pilot who hasn't forgotten his dreams. There's no better pilot by air or sea. He believes someday he'll fly to the ends of the universe. With his handmade spear and knowledge of machinery, he throws himself into any attack, regardless of the danger. Quick side tangent, when I was growing up playing this game, I thought Cid was in his 50s because obviously he's written to be a old curmudgeon, cranky old man. But in the game manual, it says that Cid is 32 in the original game. Old. Let's look again at the original Cid here. He's definitely a smoker. Definitely looks like he'd be working on a Honda Civic. Not too bad. Definitely makes sense to be a mechanic or even a pilot. Let's even go a step further before we looked at the new Cid. And look instead at the Final Fantasy VII sequel movie, Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. Definitely looks like an old curmudgeon, a cranky old man, still the Cid that we know and love. With the original Cid, the Cid from the Advent Children movie, and the Cid from the original PlayStation 1 game manual in the back of your head, let's go ahead and look at how they remade Cid.
Oh no, he's high!
Like, what the heck is this? This doesn't look like a grease monkey who has his lungs filled with tar. This looks like someone who just got out of a mani-pedi at a salon. Okay, now going back again to the original portrait of Cid here, you can tell the kind of character he is just by looking at him. He looks like an upset old man who smokes to his lungs' content. Now, don't get me wrong, Final Fantasy has always been notorious for having supermodel-esque characters, especially the main characters. You know, you got Cloud, you got Squall, you got Goku, Zidane, you got Titus, however the hell you want to say it. But that's why having a character like Cid is so important. When you have a character that looks normal, it helps ground your story and your setting, so that you're telling the player by just showing people, like, hey, there are normal looking people in this world, there are normal people in this world. And by doing so, it makes your world more believable. The next natural question becomes, why?
Why? Why? Why? Why? Why?
Why? Why are these companies giving these characters unnecessary makeovers? Why are they putting in this extra effort to make these characters look more attractive? And truth be told, I don't know. I'm not in the boardrooms when these decisions get made.
Smoke weed every day.
If I had to make a guess, it would be that somewhere in our lizard brains, we like to see attractive people. And these corporations know this, so they're going to shovel you attractive people, even if it goes counter to the character. Because they know that you want to see it. You want to see Hot Cid. You're going to buy this game just to see Sexy-Cid. These companies are trying to sell as many copies of these games as possible. And they know what you want. Sexy-Cid. They're going to capitalize on our horniness, our stupid lizard brains, as much as possible, even if it runs counter to the artistic integrity and the original character designs. Because these companies don't care about any of that. That's just a theory.
A game theory.
In conclusion, what's the point I'm trying to make here? I think that when it comes to world building, you need these other characters to kind of ground things. Because one of the major hurdles you have whenever you're creating a world, whether it be for a book, a movie, a video game, whatever, one of your major hurdles is trying to show your user, your reader, your watcher, your gamer, that, hey, this world is believable. And I think that polishing away these imperfections of these characters is just a detriment to that. You're just taking what could be believable and what could make sense feasibly and getting rid of it, taking a clothes iron to Tobey Maguire's face. Anyways, that's all for this video. Thank you for watching, and what do you think about this weird phenomena of yassification? Feel free to leave any examples out that I might have missed. Feel free to put your game theories in there, and gamer guys and gals. Oh, and Mom said that you need to subscribe, okay? Bye!